Hi, I'm Jane, and I am a host of Political Gravity, a 14-year podcast on YouTube, but primarily Blog Talk Radio. I'm going to talk today about Christianity and how it is embellished in politics, and what are the warning signs for living a good Christian life versus trying to integrate your belief system into a secular political scene. First of all, every American, and even in other countries and other races and other even immigrants, we all have a personal belief system that drives us. But I want to point out, based on my studies in my master's program at Cal State Northridge, the founders of the United States decided to create a government that was not a religiously established institution. In other words, they did not subscribe to any one creed as the main basis of establishing the American government. Therefore, even if you were a Christian in the 1700s and has a standard Christian belief system, it wasn't watered into the Constitution for one reason only. The English king and crown tried to control American colonies and dominate individuals through their power, in the sense that they bullied average people in America who didn't want to be under their rule. They had the Quarters Act, in which they wanted to force Americans to house British soldiers at any time of the day or night and feed them. They had the Stamp Act, in which they charge extra prices for mailing postage and doing official business in town, like adding on extra taxes. And they literally refused to let Americans emancipate themselves on their own. It had to be fought and won through a war. Now, how does this tie in? There were a lot of people coming to America in the 16 and 1700s. Many were puritanical Christians like Anabaptists and Quakers, and people who wanted no association with government, and they also feared government. They didn't want government to tell them how to live or what to do. They wanted separation of church and state. It's wrong, and it's not even part of our political fabric to try to force your own religion on other people and your own belief system. Now, I'll speed that up to modern day and how the religious right Christian nationalist movement got so broken under the Trump popularity. I'll just give you a case in point example. When Michael Flynn was not allowed to be national security advisor and he was cut out of the Trump administration, he created his own Christian speaking circuit, in which he went around talking about the common enemy, who he believed were Muslims in foreign countries, because obviously they were doing most of the killing and targeting of Americans ever since 2000, even before that, actually. They do live in a theocracy, and they do view Christianity and false Christians as a form of their enemy. However, by a nationally high-ranking military officer to go around talking about other religions as a threat is a breach of our national security, because it's almost like he was giving away secrets or motives for how things were run in Iran and Iraq. This is wrong. You cannot falsely bully people into believing a fear-based theology based on the fact that you did not succeed. He ran a lot of private operations in Iraq, and many of them were against religious juntas and people who thought opposite of American Christians. In that case, he fulfilled his role and he did what he had to do. including some extreme operations where he killed people that it wasn't necessary. But needless to say, it's wrong for Christian nationalists to overtly and indiscriminately throw out their judgment at other people that they don't even know. They're condemning poor people who have abortions. And if you go into any impoverished community and find out why women have abortions, it's usually because the man has abandoned them and they can't afford it. That doesn't give them an excuse to do it, but it's a condition of the society in which they live, in which they feel forced to have to abort their child. If you are a moral person and want to fight for pro-life, you may do so, but you can't do it while condemning others. The second thing is Jesus in the Christian community wanted us to love our neighbors as ourselves. That includes alcoholics, people struggling with addiction, people who may think differently than us. We are to love them and guide them to Christian values. We don't do it through hate and condemnation, as you often see Trump people do at a rally. They try to separate people saying, I'm a more worthy American because I believe this. I'm more patriotic. I'm a Christian-fearing person, and you guys are all heretics. I have a friend who used to be on my radio show for 10 out of the 14 years, and he actually literally believes that all Democrats are Luciferian and controlled by Satan. He doesn't even know why people are Democrats. Like, maybe someone's a Democrat because they get child care subsidies, or maybe they get food stamps and they're grateful, or maybe they have good college Pell Grants, and they don't surround themselves with any of the moral issues at stake. The United States government is not an altar. We do not worship Donald Trump, and we do not worship Joe Biden. They are people in public service to fulfill a function of implementing government plans. So by worshiping people who are frail humans, who are not godly deities, that is my second point. You cannot worship a leader. Now, back when I was growing up in the 60s, I did worship JFK and MLK because I felt like their words were so eloquent, but I was also in elementary school, and I just thought they were like very prominent, respectable people. But I didn't worship them in the sense that I'm going to pray to them. And that's how people have depicted Donald Trump, someone who's full of flaws, has committed multiple sins in his life, but has never openly repented for him. When he's been put on the spot by people interviewing him, even to recite one Bible verse, he can't and will not do it. So I don't know how Christians got hijinks into thinking that he is solely a Christian, because, for example, Mike Huckabee could blend in his religious thought with his capacity for running for government. But Trump isn't capable of that. He's not capable of more than one sentence sound bites that have no cohesive tone. But my main YouTube podcast in this situation is to explain that you can't piggyback as a Christian onto a secular candidate and think that is a holy act. I'm glad Trump supports pro-life, and I'm glad that he's anti-war, but it still doesn't make him a genuine fruit of the Spirit, Galatians person. He does not show any signs of the fruit of the Spirit: love, peace, patience, kindness, long-suffering, goodwill, and humility. He displays none of those things. And he's always arguing with people and defending himself. So next time you try to describe in your mind what the concept of a secular government is in terms of altar worship, you should probably move to Iran or another country that does have a theocracy, because really there is no Christian theocracy in the world. All the secular governments formed by the nation states in the Western European powers and the US is based on pragmatism and intellectual thought by people like John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, and others. Please do your research before you want to do another rah-rah event for Donald J. Trump, who is a discredit to our country.